Good evening everyone, welcome back to your beloved drawback chess speedrun. Today we are playing 3 games from 1600 to 1700, hopefully winning at least 2 out of 3 games, and without any further ado, let's get into today's content. First game is played at 1630. Turn the other cheek. You cannot recapture. That sounds absolutely horrifying. Reveal drawback to opponent. e4. e5. Alright, the plan is very simple. Since I cannot recapture, we will play super aggressively, and do all the captures ourselves before my opponent gets to make a capture. Knight f3. That knight attacks my e-pawn, but I cannot defend it because, as the drawback suggested, I cannot recapture. So I guess we'll focus on development. Your opponent revealed their drawback. Rook on the 7th. By move 15, you must move one of your rooks onto the 7th rank. Aha! So his drawback also requires him to focus on his development, and after 15 moves he can play the game like it was normal chess. Therefore, the only way I can win this game is to trade all of my materials for tempos, and buy my time all the way to 15 moves. h4. Knight f6. I mean, if he can spend a move on capturing my e-pawn, that will be very convenient. He did. There's nothing I can do about that. Queen e7. I mean, there is nothing I can do right now, but I can definitely capture his knight on my next move, because it won't be counted as a recapture anymore. Knight takes f7. I still cannot take it because now it is once again counted as a recapture. Castle. Honestly, this is very great. I'm wasting all his moves just by spending a few pawns. A bit risky, but definitely worth it. Bishop c4. My rook can take his knight now, but after bishop takes f7, my king cannot take his bishop because it is considered as a recapture. Thus I have to waste a move moving my king. Definitely not very optimal. Queen takes c4 check. Queen e2. I don't have any other choices. He takes with king. Very aggressive. d5. Bishop takes d5. He's trying to take advantage of my drawback, but I'm actually also trying to delay time until move 15. Bishop g4 check. f3. Bishop takes f3. He takes with king again. That should blunder a horsey. Knight takes d5. His knight is pinned to his king. d3. That move is too slow. Rook takes f7 check. King g4. I have no idea why he has to move his king all the way up there. Bishop f2. Preventing rook e1, rook e7 completing his drawback. It is already move number 14, and I don't want to brag, but there should physically be no way for him to overcome his drawback anymore. He will immediately lose the game after 2 more moves. Rook e1 regardless. Free rook. Bishop g5. This is the very last move of the game, and what better move can I make than moving my rook to his 2nd rank? He couldn't overcome his drawback, but I can. Second game, let's go. Second game was played at 1660. Battle fatigue. When one of your pieces or pawns captures, it cannot capture again until it has made a non-capturing move. That is kinda acceptable. Reveal drawback to opponent. Your opponent revealed their drawback. Haunted. You can't move to a square that you have captured on. Aha! Both of our drawbacks are related to the captures. This will be fun. e4. I would definitely like my opponent making the captures so I can have some safe squares for my pieces. d5. And of course he doesn't want to capture. f6. Now he has to capture though, there is nothing else he can do. E takes f6. Knight takes f6. Alright, now my knight cannot capture due to my drawback, but my knight also cannot die due to his drawback. Each side gets one part of the benefits. This entire game depends on how much one side can make use of the other side's drawback, and I'll say that it is easier for me to take the advantage. d4. Let's get another safe square. e5. Queen h5 check. I forgot about that. I cannot take his queen due to my drawback. g6. Queen takes e5 check. Queen blocks. Take knight c3. I have to defend it. b3. Bishop f5. We'll focus on development. Bishop check. Aha. Just a few moves earlier his queen took my queen on e7, which should make the square untouchable for my opponent due to his drawback. So I guess I will completely ignore this check. And of course he cannot take my king. Free pawn. Bishop d3. Wait. I cannot take his bishop due to my drawback, and now my bishop is trapped. That is very smart. Knight d7. I mean it's fine, it's just a bishop, and after he takes my bishop, the c2 square will be completely untouchable to him due to his drawback. I'll start finding a way to navigate one of my knights to c2. Bishop takes c2. Knight e5. His queen took my e-pawn on e5, this square should also be untouchable by his pieces. Absolutely. That blunders a horsey. King e2. Knight back to the safe square e5. g5. Free pawn. h4. I'll go back. b4. Very aggressive. That allows knight c4. Bishop c1. Take knight a3 bishop e3 knight c2. My knight is completely safe. King d3. He wants to make use of his king. Therefore, we will also make use of our king. b5. King e5. My king is colored in red, but don't worry, he is completely safe. f3. He wants to prevent knight e4, but knight e4 regardless. I'll sacrifice my knight for a passed pawn, because my knight on c2 should be able to help bring that pawn safely to e1. f takes c4. d takes c4. e4 is safe now. King c4. I guess at this point we already know that I will definitely win this game pretty easily. But unfortunately it wasn't as easy as I thought. My opponent was a lot stronger than expected and he managed to prolong the game for the next 25 moves. King e6. And in this position, he gave me a potential thumbnail picture. King takes d5. Second game is a win. The goal was to win 2 out of 3 games, and we already won 2 games, third game isn't even necessary. But I'll play it out regardless. Third game is played at 1700 rating points. Lame duck, you can't move your king. Totally acceptable. Reveal drawback to opponent. Pushing center pawns is definitely a bad idea. b3. I'll speed you through the opening phase. Bishop c5. And my opponent blundered a pawn. Take queen e7. That blunders another pawn. This is very risky though, his queen is eyeing straight at my king. I don't think anything can go wrong this early into the game, but I seriously need to move that bishop back to help defending the emperor. d6. He's trying to trap it. Definitely not gonna work. Bishop a5. b6. Bishop c3. Knight e4. Aha. Here he comes. His knight is attacking my f-pawn, and since my king cannot move, there is actually nothing defending the f-pawn at the moment. Rook f1. Bishop d7. I can't just sit here and let him attacking me non-stop like this. I'll give a check just to annoy him. Who knows, maybe he'll castle. King d8. Wait. Why didn't he block the check though? That is very suspicious, probably has something to do with his drawback, but I don't have enough information to make a conclusion, and even if his drawback has something to do with checks, the fact that he can still move his king means that there is not much I can do because it is definitely easier than my drawback. Bishop f3. He took my bishop. Trades are good for me. Rook c1. Queen e2. f4. Aha. Here comes a big attack. I cannot let that pawn take my e-pawn because any recaptures open up a dark square diagonal, which is very dangerous because I don't have my dark bishop anymore. Therefore, I have to do the capture myself. This is very counterintuitive. We may have to sacrifice our queen here. He sacrificed his bishop. Rook takes. That is a massive win for me. My king is on a dark square, and now he doesn't have a dark bishop anymore. Absolutely very convenient. Queen h4. g3. Queen h6. He wants rook e8 pinning my queen. Queen d3. Rook e8. Knight e2. g6. That blunders a pawn. Rook e6. Retreat. King e7 bishop g4 rook d6 queen e3 king f7 pawn push, and I blundered a pawn. My bad. Rook d1. This is so dead. I wasn't supposed to blunder anything in my territory. Let's just hope that one pawn blunder doesn't bring my entire position down. He voluntarily retreats. Queen active. Rook e8. Queen over. Rook e7. And then we shuffled our pieces around for a few moves. My opponent batteried all his pieces up on the e-file without realizing my queen had already pinned the very first piece of the battery. Rook e3. He tried to unpin his rook by moving in the very same direction. Absolutely didn't work. Rook e3. King f7 again. I can trade off everything here, but let's try to win his rook. And it worked. And after a few moves, my opponent resigned. He played pretty well in the opening, but then failed miserably in the middle game. Drawback chess 1700 speedrun. 300% win rate.